They laughed when a millionaire adopted a baby with just 3 months left to live. Love healed her. Before we dive into the story, drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. Enjoy the story. The manila envelope sat unopened on William Carter's mahogany desk, casting a long shadow despite its thinness through the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse office on the 52nd floor. Manhattan sparkled like a jewel box, oblivious to the devastation contained in that simple folder. 3 months, William whispered, finally breaking the silence that had engulfed the room since his personal physician had left. 3 months to live. The words hung in the air, as tangible as the rare artwork adorning his walls. At 58, William Carter had built an empire that spanned continents. The Carter Enterprises logo crowned buildings in 15 countries. His net worth would make small nations envious, and none of it mattered now. William loosened his silk tie and poured himself 3 fingers of 30-year-old scotch. The amber liquid caught the dying sunlight as he raised it to his lips. It tasted like ash. "What legacy am I leaving?" he asked the empty room. His voice, normally commanding in boardrooms, sounded hollow even to his own ears. His wife had succumbed to cancer years ago. They had never had children, always too busy building the empire, always thinking there would be time later. Now, there was no more later. William moved to the window, watching the tiny figures scurrying below. How many of them were rushing home to families? How many had someone waiting? The thought sent a wave of loneliness crashing over him. The phone buzzed, another board meeting, another acquisition, another billion to add to accounts that would soon belong to distant relatives who had never bothered to know him. William Carter, master of the universe, was going to die alone. He set down his untouched drink and straightened his tie. The mask of the ruthless businessman slid back into place as he gathered his papers. But something had cracked inside him, something fundamental. That evening, after an unbearable charity gala, William instructed his driver to take a different route home. As they passed Children's Memorial Hospital, he noticed a small figure in a wheelchair near the entrance, seemingly abandoned as darkness fell. "Stop the car," William commanded, an impulse he couldn't explain driving him. There, under the harsh hospital lights, sat a girl no older than 6, her tiny legs covered with a blanket despite the warm evening. A stuffed rabbit with one ear missing sat in her lap. She looked up as William approached, her eyes too knowing for someone so young. "Hello," William said, suddenly unsure of himself. "Hello," she replied, studying him with surprising composure. "Are you lost?" The question, so innocent yet profound, caught William off guard. Was he lost? In every way that mattered, perhaps he was. "I'm William Carter," he said instead of answering. "Why are you out here alone?" She glanced at a folder similar to the one on his desk hours earlier. "My name is Sophia Jones. Nobody's coming back for me. The doctors say I'm going away soon, anyway." William picked up the folder, scanning the contents. His breath caught, terminal diagnosis, 3 months, just like him. The cosmic coincidence wasn't lost on him. Without fully understanding why, William Carter made a decision that would change everything. "Would you like to come home with me, Sophia? Just until we figure something out." She considered him for a long moment, this stranger in an expensive suit, then nodded once. "Yes, please," she said simply. "I think we both need someone right now." The Carter penthouse was as vast as it was silent. William's footsteps echoed across marble floors as he wheeled Sophia inside, her small form dwarfed by the grandeur surrounding them. "Ms. Reynolds," William called, and his housekeeper appeared, her expression shifting from professional neutrality to shock as she noticed the child. "Sir," she asked, eyes darting between them. "This is Sophia Jones. She'll be staying with us for a while." William's voice carried the authority that had built empires, brooking no argument. Ms. Reynolds recovered quickly. "I'll prepare the guest suite immediately." Sophia hadn't spoken since leaving the hospital, her wide eyes taking in the sculptures, paintings, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan's glittering skyline. "Are you hungry?" William asked, suddenly aware he had no idea how to care for a child. Sophia nodded, clutching her one-eared rabbit tighter. In the kitchen, William watched as Ms. Reynolds prepared a simple meal. Sophia perched on a stool at the counter. The child ate methodically, as if afraid the food might be taken away. Why was she alone at the hospital? Ms. Reynolds whispered when Sophia seemed distracted by the refrigerator's ice machine. I don't know yet, William replied, his mind already calculating next steps. Contact my lawyer. Have him here by morning. Later, after Ms. Reynolds had helped Sophia settle into a bedroom larger than most apartments, William sat in his study, the girl's medical file open beside his own. The parallels were uncanny, both diagnosed with 3 months to live, both apparently alone in the world. The intercom buzzed. Sir, the child is asking for you. William found Sophia sitting up in bed, her rabbit position carefully beside her. I can't sleep, she said simply. It's too quiet here. William, who had purposely built his life around silence and order, suddenly understood the emptiness of it all. Would you like me to read to you? He offered, spotting books Ms. Reynolds had thoughtfully placed on the nightstand. Sophia nodded, handing him a worn copy of The Little Prince that had somehow arrived with her few possessions. William began reading, his commanding voice softening with each page. When he glanced up midway through, Sophia was asleep, her face peaceful for perhaps the first time that day. He carefully marked the page and stood to leave. Good night, Sophia, he whispered, an unfamiliar sensation tightening his chest. The following morning, Harold Waters, William's attorney of 20 years, arrived looking distinctly uncomfortable. William, this is highly irregular, he began, eyeing the child who sat coloring at the dining table. Temporary guardianship is complicated enough, but given your condition. My condition is precisely why I'm doing this, William interrupted. Process whatever paperwork is necessary. Harold's expression shifted to concern. The board will see this as evidence you're not thinking clearly. Taking in a random child. She's not random, William said sharply. She's Sophia, and she has no one, Harold, like me. Harold sighed, recognizing the determination in his client's eyes. I'll start the paperwork. But William, he hesitated, have you considered what happens to her when I'm gone? William finished, yes, that's next on my list. As Harold left, William turned to find Sophia watching him intently. Are you keeping me? She asked directly. William crossed to her, kneeling despite his expensive suit. Would you like me to? Sophia considered this with surprising seriousness. Yes, she finally said. I think you need someone to color with. William Carter, who had negotiated billion-dollar deals without blinking, found himself speechless as a small hand reached for his. The first week in William's penthouse established an uneasy routine. Sophia's presence transformed spaces untouched for years. Toys appeared in the living room, children's books on coffee tables, colorful drawings magnetized to the stainless steel refrigerator. William found himself constantly torn between board meetings and caring for Sophia. He hired specialists, a tutor, a physical therapist, a child psychologist, creating a support system around her without fully joining it himself. Mr. Carter, Dr. Larson, the psychologist, pulled him aside after her third session with Sophia. She's remarkably resilient, but she needs connection more than consultants. William nodded absently, checking his watch. I've ensured she has everything she needs. Except you, Dr. Larson said pointedly. She knows she's dying, Mr. Carter. She's accepted it with more grace than most adults. What she wants now is someone to share her remaining time with. That evening, William canceled his dinner meeting. Instead, he found himself sitting cross-legged on the floor beside Sophia as she meticulously arranged a miniature tea party. You're supposed to drink it, she instructed, pointing to his empty plastic cup. William mimicked sipping, feeling ridiculous and oddly liberated. Ms. Reynolds says you're important, Sophia stated, studying him. Some people think so, William replied. But you're lonely, she continued with a child's devastating directness. Like me. William's practiced composure faltered. What makes you say that? Your house is too big and too quiet. And you never laugh. She poured imaginary tea into his cup. My mom used to say, people who don't laugh forget how to be happy. Your mother sounds wise, William said carefully. Where is she now? Sophia shrugged, her small shoulders lifting beneath her pajamas. Gone. People leave. The simplicity of her statement struck William harder than any business negotiation. I won't leave you, Sophia, he promised impulsively. She looked at him with eyes too old for her face. You will. The doctor said so. But that's okay. I'm used to it. Later that night, William sat in his study, Sophia's medical file open before him. The diagnosis seemed comprehensive, a rare form of aggressive leukemia, unresponsive to standard treatments. Yet something nagged at him, the same instinct that had helped him identify undervalued companies and market shifts. The intercom buzzed. Sir, Dr. Garcia from Memorial Hospital is calling about Sophia's records. William's first instinct was to have his assistant handle it, but Dr. Larson's words echoed in his mind. He picked up the phone. Mr. Carter, the doctor began, I've been reviewing Sophia's case, and there are inconsistencies I'd like to discuss. What kind of inconsistencies? William asked sharply. Her previous doctor's conclusions don't align with her test results. I'd like to run my own analysis with your permission. William felt something he hadn't experienced in years, hope, fragile and dangerous. Do whatever is necessary, he authorized. Spare no expense. As he hung up, William realized Sophia stood in the doorway, her rabbit clutched tightly. Bad dream, he asked gently. She nodded, crossing to him without hesitation. William lifted her onto his lap, surprised at how natural it felt. Would you like to sleep in here tonight? Sophia nodded again, settling against his chest with complete trust. William Carter, who had built walls around himself for decades, felt them crumbling as a small head rested over his heart. News of William Carter's peculiar arrangement spread through Manhattan's elite circles like wildfire. The Wall Street Journal ran a front-page story, Terminal Billionaire Adopts Dying Child. Financial analysts speculated about William's mental stability. Board members whispered about succession planning. Mr. Carter, the board is requesting an emergency meeting, his assistant informed him one morning as he helped Sophia with breakfast. Schedule it for tomorrow, William replied, carefully cutting Sophia's pancakes into bite-sized pieces. And have Dr. Garcia's latest report sent to my office. The Carter Enterprises boardroom fell silent as William entered with Sophia in her wheelchair. The girl's presence was unprecedented, a clear violation of corporate protocol. Eleanor Carter, William's aunt and board member, was the first to speak. William, this is highly inappropriate. Board meetings are confidential. Sophia stays with me, William stated firmly. Now, shall we proceed? Maxwell Richards, CFO and Eleanor's closest ally, cleared his throat. William, the board is concerned about recent decisions that appear emotionally driven. You mean Sophia, William said flatly. Among other things, Eleanor interjected. Taking guardianship of a terminal child when you yourself are. She paused, glancing at Sophia. Facing health challenges suggests impaired judgment. Sophia, who had been quietly coloring, looked up. Are they saying you shouldn't keep me because you're sick, too? The directness of her question silenced the room. William knelt beside her wheelchair. Some people think that, yes. That's silly, Sophia declared. Being together is better than being alone when you're sick. That's what the nurses always said. William turned to face his board, a new resolve straightening his spine. My health is my concern. My personal decisions are my own. Carter Enterprises continues to perform above market expectations, as the quarterly reports clearly show. Nevertheless, Eleanor persisted, we have a fiduciary responsibility to shareholders. Yes, William interrupted, not to dictate my personal life. Now, shall we discuss actual business matters, or did you convene this meeting simply to question my competence? The meeting proceeded tensely. Throughout, William noticed how attentively Sophia observed everyone, her intelligent eyes missing nothing. She seemed particularly fascinated by Eleanor, studying the older woman with unusual intensity. Afterward, as they rode the elevator down, Sophia asked, "Why doesn't that lady like me, Eleanor?" William considered his answer carefully. "It's not about you, Sophia. She's worried about changes." "She looks at you like she wants something," Sophia observed. William glanced down, struck by the accuracy of her assessment. Eleanor had always coveted control of the company, positioning herself as his natural successor. That evening, they attended a charity gala at the Metropolitan Museum. William had initially planned to go alone, but Sophia's disappointment at being left behind changed his mind. As they entered, conversations halted. William felt Sophia's small hand tighten around his as whispers followed them across the room. "William." Victoria Hartwell air-kissed his cheeks, her eyes fixed on Sophia. "How charitable of you to bring your project tonight." "This is my ward, Sophia Jones," William corrected firmly. "Sophia, this is Mrs. Hartwell." "Your dress is pretty," Sophia offered politely. Victoria's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Darling child, so sad about your condition. At least you found comfort in William's generosity before the end." Before William could respond, Sophia spoke. "We're both dying, but we're not sad anymore. We found each other." The simplicity of her truth hung in the air, silencing Victoria and everyone within earshot. William spent the next week planning an elaborate dinner party at his penthouse. He was determined to properly introduce Sophia to Manhattan society, hoping to gain acceptance for both of them. "Is this really necessary?" Dr. Garcia asked during Sophia's checkup. "Her energy should be conserved." "I want them to see her as I do," William explained, "not as a charity case, but as an extraordinary child." Sophia approached her preparations with surprising enthusiasm. A famous designer created a custom gown that accommodated her wheelchair. William arranged for a stylist to give her a princess makeover, complete with a small tiara. "Do I look pretty?" she asked William on the evening of the party, twirling a strand of her newly styled hair. William knelt beside her wheelchair. "You look beautiful, Sophia, but remember, true beauty is in here." He touched her heart, surprising himself with the sentiment. By 7 o'clock, the penthouse gleamed. Exquisite flower arrangements adorned every table. A world-renowned chef had prepared a 7-course meal that would impress even the most discerning palates. William greeted each guest personally, Sophia at his side. Some responses were genuinely warm. William's few true friends embraced the child without hesitation. Others maintained a polite facade that barely concealed their judgment. "She's quite articulate for her circumstances," remarked Senator Wilson's wife, as if Sophia couldn't hear her. When dinner was served, William had the table arranged so Sophia's wheelchair fit perfectly at his right hand. He'd spent hours teaching her which utensils to use and how to make appropriate conversation. Sophia performed beautifully, answering questions with charm and intelligence that impressed even the skeptics. William felt a surge of pride watching her navigate the social complexities with natural grace. The breaking point came during dessert. Eleanor, who had been uncharacteristically quiet all evening, addressed the table. "While this is all very touching," she began, wineglass in hand, "we must acknowledge reality. William's health is deteriorating. His sudden attachment to this child, while understandable given his circumstances, raises questions about his decision-making capacity." Silence fell across the table. William felt Sophia tense beside him. "My decision-making is perfectly sound, Eleanor," William replied coldly. "Is it?" Eleanor pressed. "Or is this elaborate fantasy, playing house with a dying child, simply a desperate attempt to create meaning at the end?" Before William could respond, Sophia's small voice cut through the tension. "Mr. Carter saved me when no one else wanted me," she said clearly. "He doesn't pretend to be my father. He's my friend. We help each other, not be afraid." The simple truth of her words hung in the air. William saw something shift in the faces around the table. Not quite acceptance, but perhaps understanding. Eleanor's expression hardened. "Charming, but sentiment doesn't change medical reality. You're both terminal." This arrangement is temporary at best, delusional at worst. William stood, his napkin falling to the floor. This dinner is concluded. Thank you all for coming. As the guests departed, William found Sophia in the library, her princess dress rumpled, tiara askew. I'm sorry, she whispered. I made them leave. William sat beside her wheelchair. You did nothing wrong. They left because I asked them to. They don't understand us, Sophia said simply. No, William agreed. They don't. But that's their loss, not ours. For the first time since his diagnosis, William felt something unexpected: peace. The opinions that had dictated his life for decades suddenly seemed meaningless compared to the trust in Sophia's eyes. The morning after the disastrous dinner party, William made a decision that would change everything. He cancelled all board meetings and appointments for the next week. Sir, the quarterly projections meeting, his assistant began. Reschedule it, William interrupted, and have my jet prepared. Sophia and I will be leaving for my house in the Hamptons this afternoon. Sophia's eyes widened when he told her. A real vacation? I've never been to the beach before. William realized how little he knew about her past. Never? She shook her head. The hospital had pictures of beaches on the walls. They looked peaceful. 3 hours later, William's sleek Mercedes wound along the coastal road to his rarely used beach property. Sophia pressed her face against the window, gasping as the ocean came into view, endless blue stretching to the horizon. It's so big, she exclaimed. William found himself smiling. When had something as simple as the ocean last brought him joy? The Hampton house, though smaller than his Manhattan penthouse, was still palatial by normal standards. Unlike the city apartment with its formal, museum-like quality, this space felt almost warm with its weathered wood and expansive windows. Can we see the water? Sophia asked immediately. William wheeled her onto the back deck, where steps led down to a private stretch of beach. Her face fell as she looked at the sand, then at her wheelchair. Understanding immediately, William knelt beside her. Would you like me to carry you? Her smile returned, brilliant and unexpected. Carefully, he lifted her small form, surprised at how little she weighed, and carried her down to the water's edge. They sat together on the sand, watching waves crash against the shore. Make a list, William said suddenly. A list? Sophia looked confused. Of everything you've wanted to do but haven't. Your dreams, wishes, adventures, anything at all. Understanding dawned in her eyes. A bucket list. William winced at the term but nodded. We'll do them all, as many as we can. That evening, by firelight, they created Sophia's list. Some items were predictably childlike: ride a horse, visit a zoo, have a real birthday party with friends. Others surprised William with their depth: learn to play piano, see the stars without city lights, plant a garden and watch it grow. This one might be difficult, William said gently, pointing to the last item: find my mother. Sophia nodded solemnly. I know, but I want to try before I can anymore. William hesitated, then added it to the list. We'll try, Sophia. I promise. The next morning, his phone rang incessantly: Eleanor, board members, shareholders, all demanding his return. William silenced it and instead spent the day helping Sophia build her first sandcastle. For the first time in decades, William Carter felt truly present, unburdened by expectations or deadlines. He watched Sophia's delight as dolphins appeared offshore, her concentration as she collected seashells, her peaceful expression as she napped on a blanket beside him. Your company needs you, his assistant reminded during a brief call that evening. I need this more, William replied simply before hanging up. That night, Sophia had a seizure, violent and terrifying. William held her small body as it convulsed, then rushed her to Southampton Hospital, his heart pounding with fear. It's disease progression, Dr. Garcia said over a video call as local doctors stabilized Sophia. Expected, but sooner than anticipated. William paced the hospital corridor, the familiar antiseptic smell bringing back memories of his own diagnosis. Should we return to Manhattan? He asked. Actually, Dr. Garcia hesitated. I've been meaning to discuss some anomalies in her latest tests. Continuing your vacation might be beneficial while we investigate further. As Sophia slept peacefully in the hospital bed, William made another decision. Whether they had 3 months or 3 days, he would make every moment count. Upon returning to Manhattan, William noticed gradual changes in Sophia. Despite her condition, she seemed to blossom under proper attention and care. One afternoon, he found her at the grand piano in the rarely used music room, tiny fingers carefully picking out a melody. "I didn't know you played," William said, surprised. "I don't," Sophia replied. "But the music therapist at the hospital showed me once. I remember the sounds." William arranged for a renowned pianist to visit the penthouse 3 times weekly. The musician was initially skeptical about teaching a terminally ill child but was stunned by Sophia's natural talent. "She has perfect pitch," the teacher informed William after their 3rd lesson. "And remarkable memory. She's already playing pieces that usually take months to master." Similarly, during a visit to the Museum of Natural History, Sophia revealed an extraordinary grasp of mathematics when she correctly calculated the height of a dinosaur based on its leg bone measurements, faster than the museum guide could work it out. "How did you do that?" William asked, amazed. Sophia shrugged. "Numbers make patterns in my head. They always have." That evening, William sat in his study, watching Sophia solve complex puzzles meant for children twice her age. His phone buzzed, Dr. Garcia requesting an urgent meeting. "I've been reviewing Sophia's case extensively," the doctor explained when she arrived. "There are inconsistencies that trouble me." "What kind of inconsistencies?" William asked, keeping his voice low to prevent Sophia from overhearing. "Her symptoms don't align perfectly with her diagnosis. And there's something odd about her original test results." Dr. Garcia hesitated. "I'd like permission to run a comprehensive new assessment using equipment and specialists outside the hospital where she was initially diagnosed." William immediately agreed. "Whatever it takes. Spare no expense." After Dr. Garcia left, William found Sophia in the library, surrounded by books about astronomy. "The stars look different outside the city," she commented, remembering their beach trip. "I could see shapes in them." "Constellations," William supplied, sitting beside her. "We could go somewhere to see them better." "The mountains, perhaps?" Sophia's eyes brightened with excitement. "Really? Like camping?" William Carter, who had never slept anywhere less luxurious than a 5-star hotel, nodded. "Exactly like camping." The next day, William transformed the east wing of the penthouse into learning spaces tailored to Sophia's interests. The formal dining room became a science lab, equipped with microscopes and telescopes. A spare bedroom was converted into an art studio after Sophia showed talent for watercolors. "Mr. Carter," Ms. Reynolds approached him hesitantly one evening, "the board has been calling constantly. Your Aunt Eleanor left another message demanding your return." William, who was helping Sophia build a model of the solar system, barely looked up. "Tell them I'm occupied with more important matters." "They're threatening to convene an emergency shareholder meeting," Ms. Reynolds persisted. "Something about a competency evaluation." William finally gave her his attention. "Contact Harold. Have him prepare legal countermeasures." Later, while Sophia slept, William reviewed company reports in his study. Despite his absence, Carter Enterprises continued to thrive under the management team he'd built. Eleanor's concerns weren't about business, they were about control. His contemplation was interrupted by a soft cry from Sophia's room. He found her tangled in bedsheets, face flushed with fever. "It hurts," she whimpered as he sat beside her. "My head hurts so much." William held her small hand while calling Dr. Garcia. As they waited for the doctor to arrive, he realized how completely this child had transformed his life in mere weeks. The man who once considered time his most precious commodity now gave it freely without reservation. "Don't leave," Sophia whispered as she drifted back to sleep. "Never," William promised, meaning it more than any business deal he'd ever made. William converted his private study into a command center for what he secretly named Project Butterfly, his mission to uncover the truth about Sophia's condition. The walls, once adorned with expensive art, now displayed medical charts, timelines, and connections mapped with colored string, like something from a detective movie. Dr. Garcia had assembled a team of specialists who worked discreetly away from the hospital where Sophia was originally diagnosed. William leveraged his connections to gain access to experimental diagnostic equipment not yet available to the public. The preliminary results are unusual, Dr. Garcia informed William during a late-night conference call. Her cellular deterioration doesn't follow the typical pattern for her diagnosed condition. We need to run more tests. Sophia, intuitive beyond her years, sensed something was happening. William found her examining the project wall one afternoon when she thought he was in a meeting. "Am I part of a puzzle?" she asked, not turning around. William considered lying, then remembered how many adults had likely lied to her already. "Yes," he admitted. "I think there might be more to your illness than we were told." Sophia nodded thoughtfully. "The nurses sometimes whispered about my charts. They stopped when they saw me listening." "What did they say?" William asked, kneeling beside her wheelchair. "That the numbers didn't make sense." She looked at him directly. "Are you trying to fix me?" William took her small hand. "I'm trying to understand what's really happening. Knowledge is power, Sophia." She smiled. "That's what my mother used to say." William felt a pang. Despite his resources, the search for Sophia's mother had yielded nothing. Hospital records showed only a name, Amanda Parker, and no contact information. "Tell me about her," William said gently. Sophia's face softened. She smelled like vanilla. She sang instead of talking sometimes. She cried a lot near the end, the yard. And before she left me at the hospital, she said she couldn't watch me die. Sophia's matter-of-fact tone broke William's heart. That night, William expanded his investigation. If something was wrong with Sophia's diagnosis, perhaps her abandonment wasn't what it seemed either. Meanwhile, Sophia continued checking items off her bucket list. They visited the zoo, where she showed particular fascination with butterflies. William arranged for her to feed giraffes and hold a koala, photographing her delight with each new experience. At the planetarium, Sophia stunned an astronomer with her questions about black holes and neutron stars. "She thinks like a physicist," the scientist told William privately. Each night, William added Sophia's accomplishments and revelations to a journal. If their time was indeed limited, he wanted a record of who she truly was, not just a patient, but a brilliant, complex child deserving of recognition. The breakthrough came unexpectedly. William was reviewing hospital financial records, following the money often reveal truth in business, so why not medicine? He discovered something disturbing. Sophia's extensive treatments had been paid for by a private foundation, the Eleanor Carter Medical Trust. William stared at the document, blood running cold. His aunt's foundation had financed Sophia's care, the same aunt who seemed determined to undermine his guardianship of the child. Before he could process this information, his phone rang. Dr. Garcia's voice was tense with urgency. "Mr. Carter, we need to talk immediately. It's about Sophia's blood work. The original samples, they've been manipulated. Someone altered her test results." As William hung up, he heard the penthouse elevator chime. Security hadn't announced any visitors. Moving silently toward the foyer, he froze at the sound of a familiar voice. "Hello, William. We need to talk about the child." Eleanor stood in his entryway, her expression unreadable. William faced Eleanor in the silent penthouse, tension crackling between them. "How did you get past security?" "I still have the override codes," Eleanor replied coolly. "You never changed them after your diagnosis." William positioned himself between Eleanor and the hallway leading to Sophia's room. "Why is your foundation paying for Sophia's medical care? What's your connection to her?" Eleanor's composure faltered momentarily. "You've been investigating." Efficient as always. Answer the question, William demanded, keeping his voice low to avoid waking Sophia.
It's complicated, Eleanor sighed, setting her handbag on a marble side table. I've been monitoring children with rare conditions for years through my foundation. Sophia's case is particularly interesting. Interesting enough to falsify medical records? William's accusation hung in the air between them. Eleanor's eyes narrowed. What exactly are you implying?
Dr. Garcia discovered manipulation in Sophia's test results.
Her condition isn't what we've been told.
William advanced toward his aunt.
What did you do, Eleanor?
I protected the company, she hissed. Your company, our family legacy. When your diagnosis came, you were supposed to step aside gracefully, let me guide the transition.
Instead, you became unpredictable, erratic. And Sophia, what does she have to do with corporate succession? Eleanor's laugh was bitter. Everything.
Look at you, playing father to a dying child instead of securing the future of thousands of employees. I needed something to accelerate your departure from leadership.
Realization dawned.
You engineered a situation where I'd form an attachment to a terminally ill child. You expected it would destabilize me emotionally, give the board reason to question my competence. The child was already ill, Eleanor amended. I simply exaggerated the timeline, made her condition appear more dire.
William's hands clenched into fists.
You manipulated a child's medical diagnosis for corporate control.
For the greater good, Eleanor corrected.
Carter Enterprises needed stable leadership, not a dying man's whims. Get out, William whispered, voice deadly quiet.
Get out before I forget your family. Eleanor collected her handbag calmly. This changes nothing, William. The board meeting is tomorrow.
Your guardianship of this child will be Exhibit A in my case for your removal. After she left, William contacted Dr. Garcia immediately. I need definitive answers about Sophia's condition tonight. Hours later, William sat beside Sophia's bed, watching her peaceful sleep as dawn broke over Manhattan. Dr. Garcia's findings confirmed his suspicions. Sophia's condition was serious but treatable with proper protocols. The original diagnosis had been deliberately manipulated to suggest imminent death. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts.
Ms. Reynolds appeared in the doorway.
Sir, there's a woman downstairs. She says her name is Amanda Parker.
She's asking about Sophia.
William felt as if the floor had dropped from beneath him.
Sophia's mother. Ms. Reynolds nodded.
She says she saw the news stories about you and recognized her daughter. Security is detaining her until you approve. William glanced at the sleeping child, then back to Ms. Reynolds.
Bring her up quietly.
Minutes later, William stood facing a woman with Sophia's eyes and determined chin. She was younger than he expected, perhaps 30, dressed simply but neatly.
Why now? William asked without preamble. Why return after abandoning her? Amanda Parker didn't flinch. I never abandoned her. She was taken from me. William stared at Amanda Parker, struggling to process her claim. Taken by whom?
Your aunt, Amanda replied, her voice steady despite the emotion in her eyes.
Eleanor Carter.
William gestured toward his living room, away from Sophia's bedroom.
Once seated, Amanda pulled out a worn photograph showing a younger version of herself holding a baby.
6 years ago, I was a research assistant at Carter Medical Institute, she began. I was part of a team studying rare genetic conditions.
Eleanor was our primary donor. William's mind raced to connect the pieces.
You worked for my family's foundation.
Amanda nodded.
When Sophia was born, tests showed she had a rare genetic marker our research targeted.
Eleanor took special interest in her case. What kind of interest? William asked, though he feared he already knew. She wanted Sophia enrolled in experimental protocols.
When I refused, things got complicated.
Amanda's hands trembled slightly.
There was an accident in the lab, chemicals I supposedly mishandled. I was fired, my reputation destroyed.
Then Sophia got sick.
And Eleanor offered help, William guessed. Conditional help, Amanda corrected.
Treatment for Sophia in exchange for participation in studies.
I was desperate, so I agreed. But the treatments made her worse, not better.
William felt sick.
And the terminal diagnosis came 3 months ago.
Eleanor showed me test results indicating Sophia had only months to live. Amanda's voice broke.
I couldn't afford second opinions. When Eleanor suggested Sophia remain at the hospital for compassionate care, I thought it was genuine mercy.
Why would Eleanor target your daughter specifically?
William pressed.
Amanda hesitated.
Because of who Sophia's father is.
And who is that?
You, William.
Amanda's words fell like stones in the silence. Sophia is your daughter. William felt the room tilt.
That's impossible. Harvard Spring Fundraiser, 2017, Amanda said quietly.
You probably don't remember me.
I was catering the event, working through graduate school.
We spent one night together. You left before morning.
Recognition dawned slowly, the charity event, excessive champagne, a beautiful student with ambitious dreams, a fleeting connection he'd forgotten by his next business meeting.
Why didn't you tell me? William asked, voice barely audible. I tried.
I called your office repeatedly.
Your assistant Eleanor's recommended hire.
Said you weren't interested in such matters and offered a financial settlement.
I refused the money but stopped trying to reach you.
William closed his eyes, remembering his assistant from that period, another connection to Eleanor.
Eleanor knew, he realized aloud. She knew Sophia was mine. Amanda nodded. She's been manipulating everything.
When I saw news stories about you taking in a terminally ill child from the hospital, I knew immediately it was Sophia.
I've been trying to reach you for weeks.
William's phone chimed with a message from Dr. Garcia. Comprehensive results confirm, Sophia's condition is treatable.
Estimated recovery with proper protocol, 90%.
He showed Amanda the message, watching relief transform her face. She's going to live, Amanda whispered, tears flowing freely now.
With proper treatment.
Yes. William stood, anger and purpose crystallizing within him.
Eleanor used Sophia to manipulate both of us.
She falsified medical records, separated a mother and child, all to gain control of my company.
Amanda stood as well.
I want to see my daughter, our daughter, William corrected gently.
And we will face Eleanor together.
Before they could move, a small voice came from the hallway.
Mommy.
Sophia sat in her wheelchair, eyes wide with disbelief. Amanda rushed forward, falling to her knees before the child.
My baby, my butterfly. Sophia touched her mother's face wonderingly. You came back.
I never wanted to leave you, Amanda whispered, gathering Sophia into her arms. William watched their reunion, emotions warring within him, joy at Sophia's renewed chance at life, rage at Eleanor's manipulation, and something entirely new, the realization that he was a father. As morning light filled the penthouse, William made 2 calls, first to Harold, instructing him to prepare legal action against Eleanor, then to security, ordering his aunt barred from all Carter properties.
The board meeting, Ms. Reynolds reminded him.
Proceed as scheduled, William replied, watching Amanda help Sophia back to bed, but add one agenda item, Eleanor Carter's removal from the board and all Carter enterprises. For the first time since his diagnosis, William felt truly alive. The 3 months he thought he had left would now be dedicated to justice, healing, and the family he never knew he needed. That afternoon, as Sophia rested with Amanda at her side, William returned to his own medical file.
If Eleanor had manipulated Sophia's diagnosis, what else might she have falsified? The sleek Carter Enterprises boardroom fell silent as William entered with Amanda and Sophia.
Board members exchanged uncomfortable glances, clearly unprepared for the family trio now before them.
Thank you all for coming, William began, his voice steady and controlled. Today's agenda has changed. We'll be addressing a pattern of corporate and personal malfeasance perpetrated by Eleanor Carter.
Eleanor, seated at the far end of the table, maintained her composure. William, your personal vendettas have no place. This isn't personal, William interrupted, sliding documents across the polished table. It's criminal: falsification of medical records, corporate espionage, manipulation of Carter Foundation resources for personal gain. Harold Waters, William's attorney, stepped forward. We've prepared a comprehensive file detailing Ms. Carter's actions regarding Sophia Jones, or more accurately, Sophia Parker Carter. A murmur ran through the room. William continued, genetic testing confirms Sophia is my biological daughter, a fact Eleanor has known for years. She deliberately concealed this information while using Sophia's medical condition as leverage against me. That's absurd, Eleanor scoffed, though her confidence appeared to waver. This desperate performance only proves my concerns about your stability. Dr. Garcia entered the room, carrying medical files. I've documented extensive manipulation of Sophia's test results through the Eleanor Carter Medical Trust. Her condition, while serious, was deliberately misrepresented as terminal. Board members leaned forward, examining the evidence with growing concern. William watched as Eleanor's carefully constructed facade began crumbling. Additionally, William continued, I've had my own medical records independently reviewed. The terminal diagnosis I received 3 months ago was similarly manipulated. This revelation sent shockwaves through the room. Maxwell Richards, CFO and Eleanor's closest ally, visibly paled. You falsified my medical records to accelerate your takeover, William addressed Eleanor directly. You expected Sophia's supposed imminent death would destabilize me emotionally, giving you grounds to challenge my competence. Eleanor finally lost her composure. Everything I did was for this company. Your sentimental attachment to a child you never knew existed threatened decades of work. Carter Enterprises needs strategic leadership, not emotional impulses. What the company needs, William replied calmly, is ethical governance, something you've demonstrated you cannot provide. The vote was swift and decisive. Within 30 minutes, Eleanor Carter was removed from the board and all positions within Carter Enterprises and its subsidiaries. As security escorted Eleanor from the building, she paused beside William. This isn't over. You can't prove criminal intent. I don't need to, William replied softly. The evidence speaks for itself. Your reputation in this city is finished. After the meeting, William, Amanda, and Sophia returned to the penthouse, physically and emotionally exhausted but victorious. What happens now? Amanda asked as they watched Sophia doze on the sofa. Legally, we pursue full treatment for Sophia, William replied. Dr. Garcia has already arranged transfers to legitimate specialists. And us? Amanda gestured between them. We're practically strangers raising a daughter together. William considered this, 6 years of Sophia's life he could never reclaim, a relationship with Amanda that consisted of one forgotten night and today's revelations. We start again, he said simply. For Sophia's sake. The weeks that followed brought rapid changes. Sophia began proper treatment protocols, her strength improving noticeably. Though still using her wheelchair, she required it less frequently as therapies took effect. Amanda moved into the guest suite, establishing gentle boundaries as they navigated their unexpected co-parenting arrangement. Her scientific background proved invaluable in understanding Sophia's treatment plans. Meanwhile, William underwent additional medical testing that confirmed Dr. Garcia's assessment: his condition was serious but manageable with proper treatment. The terminal timeline had been manufactured. One evening, as Sophia practiced piano in the music room, William found Amanda reviewing research papers on the terrace. I've been thinking, he said, joining her, about the Carter Medical Institute. Eleanor turned what should have been a force for good into something corrupt. Amanda nodded. Many brilliant researchers left after what happened to me. The foundation's reputation suffered. I want to rebuild it, William declared, transform it into what it should have been: transparent, ethical medical research focused on underserved populations, with your expertise leading the scientific division. Amanda looked surprised. You're offering me a job. I'm offering you a partnership, William clarified, in business and in raising our daughter. No hidden agendas, no manipulation, just honest collaboration.
Before Amanda could respond, Sophia's voice called from inside. "Daddy, Mommy, come listen to my new song."
William and Amanda exchanged a glance, both still adjusting to their parental titles.
As they moved toward the music room, William's phone rang. The hospital. "Mr. Carter, Dr.
Garcia's voice sounded cautiously optimistic. "We've discovered something promising in your latest tests.
There's an experimental treatment that might significantly improve your prognosis."
As William listened to the details, he watched Amanda helping Sophia with her sheet music, their heads bent together in concentration. For the first time since his diagnosis, he allowed himself to imagine a future beyond 3 months, a future with the family he never knew he needed. The news about William's improved prognosis spread quickly through Manhattan's elite circles. Many who had distanced themselves during his supposed terminal phase now attempted to rekindle relationships. William received these overtures with polite detachment, his priorities fundamentally altered. Eleanor, meanwhile, had not gone quietly. Though removed from Carter Enterprises, she retained significant wealth and connections. Reports reached William of her meeting with rival corporations, lawyers, and even journalists, clearly plotting her counterattack. "She's attempting to spin a narrative about your mental state," Harold reported during their weekly legal briefing, "claiming your accusations against her are delusions stemming from your illness and emotional attachment to Sophia."
William remained unfazed. "The medical evidence speaks for itself. Continue building our case." At home, a new routine had established itself. Mornings began with Sophia's treatments, which she faced with remarkable courage.
Afternoons were devoted to her education, with tutors discovering she functioned academically several grades above her age level. Evenings found the three of them together, sometimes reading, sometimes playing games, sometimes simply talking. One such evening, as Sophia slept after a particularly taxing physical therapy session, William and Amanda sat in the library reviewing medical reports.
"Her improvement exceeds projections," Amanda noted, relief evident in her voice.
Dr. Garcia believes she might be strong enough to start school in the fall.
William nodded, watching Amanda thoughtfully.
In the weeks since her return, he'd come to respect her intelligence, resilience, and unwavering devotion to Sophia. The awkwardness between them had gradually transformed into something resembling partnership. "I've been thinking about your offer," Amanda said, setting aside the medical files, "to rebuild the Carter Medical Institute."
"And?" William prompted.
"I have conditions," she replied firmly. "Complete transparency in all research, ethical review boards with actual power, priority given to underserved populations."
William smiled. Already drafted into the new charter.
Their conversation was interrupted by William's security chief. "Sir, there's a situation downstairs.
Ms. Eleanor Carter is demanding entry." William and Amanda exchanged concerned glances. "Keep her in the lobby," William instructed. "We'll come down."
They found Eleanor in the building's marble lobby, impeccably dressed despite the late hour.
She was not alone.
A distinguished man in a tailored suit stood beside her. "William," Eleanor greeted him with artificial warmth, "I hoped we might speak privately." "Whatever you have to say can be said in front of Amanda," William replied coldly.
Eleanor's smile tightened. "Very well.
This is Judge Harrington.
He's prepared to issue an emergency injunction regarding Sophia's custody."
The judge looked uncomfortable but determined. "Mr. Carter, serious questions have been raised about the child's welfare."
"What questions?" Amanda demanded, stepping forward protectively. Eleanor produced a folder.
Documentation of William's deteriorating health, evidence of experimental treatments being administered to Sophia without proper oversight, concerns about psychological harm from your sudden reappearance, Ms.
Parker, after abandoning your child.
"I never abandoned her," Amanda's voice shook with anger.
"You manipulated everything." Allegations without evidence, Eleanor dismissed. Meanwhile, the child remains in an unstable environment while seriously ill.
William maintained his composure with effort. Judge Harrington, I presume you're aware that interfering with a legitimate custody arrangement without proper court proceedings constitutes judicial misconduct.
The judge hesitated. Ms. Carter presented concerning evidence. Fabricated evidence, William interrupted, just as she fabricated medical records, a fact we're prepared to demonstrate in court with testimony from multiple physicians. Harold Waters appeared from the elevator, having been summoned by security. Judge Harrington, I've prepared an ethics complaint regarding this irregular after-hours intervention. Shall I proceed with filing? The judge's confidence visibly wavered.
Perhaps this matter should proceed through proper channels.
Eleanor's mask of civility finally slipped.
She is my great-niece, Carter blood.
I won't allow her to be raised by
her parents, William finished.
That's exactly who will raise her. Your manipulation ends now, Eleanor.
As security escorted Eleanor and the chastened judge from the building, William felt Amanda's hand slip into his. The gesture, simple but profound, communicated solidarity in the face of threats to their fragile family. She won't stop, Amanda said quietly as they returned to the penthouse.
No, William agreed. But neither will we.
Later that night, unable to sleep, William stood in Sophia's doorway, watching her peaceful slumber. The moonlight illuminated her face, so like her mother's, yet with unmistakable echoes of his own features now that he knew to look for them.
How had he not seen it immediately?
The determined chin, the analytical gaze, even her mathematical abilities mirrored his own childhood talents.
She has your focus when she's working on something, Amanda whispered, joining him in the doorway. That intense concentration that shuts out everything else. William nodded, emotion tightening his throat.
6 years lost, a daughter he hadn't known existed.
Yet somehow, amid illness and manipulation, they had found each other.
We'll protect her, he promised.
Whatever it takes. Amanda's hand found his again, warm and certain. Together.
The following weeks brought significant changes to the Carter household. Sophia's health improved steadily, allowing her to spend more time out of her wheelchair. Her natural curiosity blossomed with each passing day, particularly in mathematics and music.
William's treatments progressed equally well. The experimental protocol Dr. Garcia had recommended showed promising results, reducing his symptoms significantly.
Though not cured, his prognosis had improved from months to potentially years. The most profound transformation, however, was in their relationships. What had begun as an awkward arrangement between virtual strangers gradually evolved into a functioning family unit. William and Amanda established a comfortable co-parenting rhythm, their shared love for Sophia bridging their differences.
One evening, as Sophia completed her piano practice, William received an unexpected call from Maxwell Richards, his CFO and Eleanor's former ally.
I need to see you, Maxwell said, his voice tense.
It's about Eleanor. She's planning something.
An hour later, Maxwell sat nervously in William's study, glancing frequently toward the door as if expecting interruption.
Eleanor approached me last week, he began, refusing William's offer of a drink.
She's liquidating significant assets, converting everything to cash through offshore accounts.
William leaned forward. Why tell me this?
Because her target isn't just you anymore, Maxwell replied. She's systematically approaching everyone connected to Sophia's case, doctors, nurses, lab technicians, offering bribes for testimony against you and Ms. Parker.
What kind of testimony?
Anything damaging, suggestions of medical neglect, implications that Amanda abandoned Sophia willingly, even claims that you're using experimental treatments on Sophia without proper oversight.
William's expression hardened. She's building a custody case. Maxwell nodded miserably.
She's obsessed with the idea that Sophia represents the future of the Carter bloodline. In her mind, neither you nor Ms. Parker are fit guardians.
After Maxwell left, William shared the information with Amanda.
They sat in the kitchen, speaking in hushed tones to avoid alarming Sophia.
Can she succeed? Amanda asked, her hands wrapped tightly around a mug of tea. William considered the question carefully. Legally, no.
We have overwhelming evidence of her manipulation, but Eleanor has never played by the rules, and custody battles can damage children regardless of the outcome. We need to protect Sophia from this, Amanda insisted.
She's finally thriving.
The stress of legal proceedings could set back her recovery.
William agreed.
We need to address this decisively before Eleanor can establish any legal foothold. The solution came from an unexpected source. The following day, during Sophia's regular checkup, Dr. Garcia mentioned Eleanor's attempts to contact her medical team. She offered my assistant $50,000 for copies of Sophia's current treatment records, Dr. Garcia reported, indignation clear in her voice.
William exchanged looks with Amanda.
Doctor, would you be willing to testify about Eleanor's interference? Dr. Garcia's response was immediate.
Absolutely. What she's doing violates every ethical standard in medicine. This conversation sparked an idea. Instead of waiting for Eleanor's attack, they would expose her methods publicly.
Harold began collecting sworn statements from everyone Eleanor had approached with bribes or threats. Security footage from the hospital captured her attempting to access Sophia's records without authorization. Meanwhile, William made a bold business move.
Carter Enterprises announced a new healthcare initiative focusing on transparent, ethical medical research.
The press release specifically highlighted reforms addressing the previous administration's concerning practices without naming Eleanor directly. The message was clear: William was prepared to bring their conflict into the open if necessary.
Eleanor's response came swiftly.
Late one night, as William reviewed company reports in his study, his private line rang. Impressive strategy, Eleanor's voice was colder than he'd ever heard it, using the company to sanitize your image while collecting ammunition against me.
What do you want, Eleanor? William asked wearily.
A truce, she replied, on my terms.
Reinstate me to the board.
Grant me access to Sophia's education and medical decisions as her great-aunt.
In return, I'll cease my efforts to challenge your custody arrangement. William's laugh held no humor. You falsified medical records, used a child as a pawn in a corporate power play, attempted to bribe medical professionals, and now you expect concessions? Family should remain unified, Eleanor persisted. Think of the scandal if this becomes public.
The Carter name means nothing compared to Sophia's well-being, William interrupted.
Your actions have consequences, Eleanor. Accept them with dignity, or we'll see this through to its conclusion. After ending the call, William found Amanda and Sophia in the library.
Sophia sat on the floor, surrounded by books about space, explaining constellations to her mother with infectious enthusiasm. Watching them, William felt a certainty that had eluded him throughout his business career. This moment, this family, was worth fighting for with every resource at his disposal.
Everything all right?
Amanda asked, noticing his expression.
William nodded, joining them on the floor. Everything that matters.
1 year to the day after William found Sophia at the hospital, the three of them stood on the steps of the newly established Carter Family Medical Center.
The gleaming building, once a neglected healthcare facility in an underserved neighborhood, now represented everything the original Carter Medical Institute should have been: ethical, transparent, and accessible to all.
Sophia, dressed in a blue dress that matched her eyes, stood unaided between her parents. Though still undergoing treatments, her progress had astounded even the most optimistic specialists. Her wheelchair remained nearby, but she used it only when fatigue set in after long days.
Are you nervous? Amanda asked, straightening William's tie before the ribbon-cutting ceremony.
Surprisingly, no, he replied, his gaze fixed on Sophia as she charmed the gathered dignitaries.
A year ago, I thought I was dying alone. Now.
He didn't need to finish the thought. Amanda's hand found his, a gesture that had become natural over their months of shared parenthood.
The ceremony proceeded flawlessly. William's speech highlighted the center's mission, providing cutting-edge medical care regardless of patients' financial circumstances.
He deliberately avoided mentioning Eleanor, focusing instead on the positive transformation of the Carter legacy. As William prepared to cut the ceremonial ribbon, he invited Sophia to join him at the podium. She walked confidently forward, her once frail body now strong enough to climb the steps without assistance. "Ladies and gentlemen," William announced, the true inspiration behind everything you see today, my daughter, Sophia Parker Carter." Applause erupted as father and daughter cut the ribbon together, officially opening the medical center that would help thousands of children facing conditions similar to Sophia's. During the reception afterward, William noticed a familiar figure observing from the periphery. Eleanor, still impeccably dressed but somehow diminished, watched the proceedings with an unreadable expression. William approached her cautiously. "I'm surprised to see you here." "I received no invitation," Eleanor acknowledged, "but I wanted to see it for myself." For a moment, neither spoke, the weight of their shared history hanging between them. "You've transformed it completely," Eleanor finally said, gesturing toward the building. "Nothing of the original institute remains." "Only its purpose," William corrected, "to advance medical research and treatment." "The methods have changed, not the mission." Eleanor's gaze shifted to Sophia, who was demonstrating a mathematical concept to an impressed neurosurgeon. "She's remarkable, isn't she? True Carter genius." "She's herself," William replied firmly, "neither your legacy nor mine." Eleanor nodded slowly. "The board was right to choose you all those years ago." "I see that now." She turned to leave, then paused. "The offshore accounts have been transferred back to the foundation. Consider it my contribution to her future." As Eleanor walked away, Amanda joined William. "Was that a surrender? An apology?" "I'm not sure," William admitted, "but I think it's the closest we'll get to closure." That evening, they celebrated privately in the penthouse, now fully transformed from its former museum-like state into a true home. Drawings adorned the refrigerator, toys occasionally cluttered the once pristine living areas, and books of all kinds filled previously empty shelves. After Sophia went to bed, exhausted but happy from the day's events, William and Amanda sat on the terrace overlooking the city. "Dr. Garcia called with your latest results," Amanda said, her scientific background evident in her precise terminology as she detailed the continued improvement in his condition. William listened, still marveling at how his life had changed in a single year. The man who once measured success in acquisitions and profit margins now found joy in a child's laughter and pride in a medical center serving those without means. "The board wants to recognize you formally," William said when Amanda finished, "for your work developing the new pediatric protocols. They're proposing you lead the research division permanently." Amanda smiled. "I'd like that. The work matters." William hesitated before continuing. "There's something else I've been considering, something more personal." "Oh?" Amanda's expression turned curious. "We've built something remarkable together, co-parenting, the medical center, even this new version of Carter Enterprises. But I find myself wondering if there might be more between us." Amanda didn't appear surprised by the direction of the conversation. "I've wondered that, too. But there's Sophia to consider. If we tried something romantic and it didn't work, it would complicate everything." William agreed. And yet, their conversation was interrupted by a small voice from the doorway. "Are you going to be a real family now?" Sophia stood in her pajamas, clearly having overheard at least part of their discussion. Amanda beckoned her daughter over. "We are a real family already, Butterfly, in all the ways that matter." "But not like in my books," Sophia persisted, climbing onto the lounge chair between them. "Not with a mom and dad who love each other, too." William and Amanda exchanged glances over Sophia's head, mutual respect and shared purpose evident in their eyes. Something deeper had been growing between them, something neither had been ready to name. "Some things take time," William told Sophia gently, "even for grown-ups." As Sophia drifted back to sleep between them, William looked out over the city skyline, reflecting on the journey that had brought them here. From terminal diagnosis to renewed life, from isolation to family, from empire building to something far more meaningful. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The morning sun streamed through the windows of the Carter penthouse, casting a golden glow across the breakfast table where William, Amanda, and Sophia shared their morning meal. 6 months had passed since the medical center's opening, bringing changes both expected and surprising. Sophia, now fully recovered and attending an elite private school for gifted children, chattered excitedly about her upcoming science fair project. Ms. Lawson says my model of black hole radiation could win first place, she exclaimed, mathematical formulas spilling from her 7-year-old lips with remarkable ease. William watched her with undisguised wonder. The frail child he'd found abandoned at the hospital entrance had blossomed into a vibrant, brilliant girl whose potential seemed limitless. Her recovery, deemed medically remarkable by specialists worldwide, had become a case study in the Carter Family Medical Center's Pediatric Research Division. Don't forget, we're meeting with the architect this afternoon, Amanda reminded Sophia as she gathered her backpack, to finalize your input on the children's wing expansion.
Sophia nodded seriously. I remember. I've been thinking about the ceiling design. The current one is boring when kids have to lie in bed all day.
After Sophia departed for school with her driver, William and Amanda lingered over coffee, reviewing their respective schedules for the day.
The board presentation is at 2, William noted.
They're officially voting on your research proposal.
Amanda smiled confidently. The preliminary results are compelling.
If approved, we could begin clinical trials by summer. Their professional collaboration had flourished over the past year.
Amanda's scientific brilliance complemented William's business acumen perfectly, transforming the medical center into a beacon of innovation.
Under their joint leadership, the first recipients of the Carter Scholarship for Medical Research had already made significant breakthroughs in pediatric treatment protocols.
Their personal relationship had evolved more cautiously.
What began as a co-parenting necessity gradually transformed into a genuine partnership. They still maintained separate bedrooms, taking their time to build a foundation stronger than their brief encounter years ago. Eleanor sent another letter, William mentioned, sliding an envelope across the table to Amanda.
Amanda opened it carefully.
Inside was a delicate antique locket containing a small photograph of William as a child. A note read, it belonged to William's grandmother.
It should remain in the family. She's persistent, Amanda observed.
That's the third gift this month. After Eleanor's surrender at the medical center opening, she had retreated to her estate in Connecticut, maintaining distance but establishing careful contact through occasional letters and gifts to Sophia. No apology had been explicitly offered, but her actions suggested a desire for reconciliation.
Should we let Sophia keep it? William asked. Amanda considered the question thoughtfully.
The locket itself is harmless, and we've agreed Sophia should form her own opinions about family connections when she's ready.
Their conversation was interrupted by William's phone.
Harold Waters, still serving as his trusted attorney, rarely called without significant reason. The court documents are finalized, Harold announced without preamble.
Judge Harrington signed off this morning. Everything's ready for your signature. William thanked him and ended the call, turning to Amanda with an expression she couldn't quite read. It's official, he said. The adoption papers are ready.
The decision had not been made lightly. Though William's biological connection to Sophia had been confirmed, the legal complexities of their situation required formal adoption to secure her future completely. Amanda had agreed, understanding that this final step would protect their daughter from any future challenges to their family unit.
Shall we tell her tonight? Amanda asked. William nodded. After the board meeting, I thought perhaps dinner at Giovanni's to celebrate.
As they prepared to leave for their respective commitments, William paused in the foyer, watching Amanda gather her research materials. Amanda, he began, uncharacteristically hesitant, there's something else I'd like to discuss after the adoption is finalized. She looked up, catching something in his tone that made her set down her papers.
What is it?
This past year, William searched for words, a rare occurrence for a man known for his articulate business presentations. Working together, building this family, it's shown me what truly matters.
Amanda stepped closer. It's shown me, too.
I've been thinking about the future, William continued, not Carter Enterprises' future or even the medical center's, our future. Before he could continue, his phone buzzed, his driver waiting downstairs.
The moment suspended between them, filled with unspoken possibilities.
Tonight, Amanda said softly.
We'll talk tonight. That evening, Giovanni's restaurant reserved its private dining room for the Carter family. Sophia, resplendent in her favorite blue dress, seemed to sense the occasion's importance even before any announcements were made. After they ordered, William placed a document folder on the table.
"Sophia, there's something very important we want to discuss with you."
The child looked between her parents expectantly.
"You know that I'm your biological father," William began carefully, "but because of the unusual circumstances of how we found each other, there are legal steps needed to make our family official in everyone's eyes."
"The adoption papers?" Sophia nodded matter-of-factly. "I heard you talking about them."
Amanda smiled at her daughter's perceptiveness. "These documents make sure that, legally, officially, and forever, William is your father in every way possible.
No one can ever question that or try to separate us. Will I get to change my name?" Sophia asked.
"The kids at school already call me Sophia Carter." "Sophia Parker Carter," William corrected gently, "to honor both your parents."
Sophia considered this, then nodded approvingly. "I like having both."
After dinner, as they walked along the park pathway near the restaurant, Sophia skipped ahead to watch street performers, giving William and Amanda a moment of privacy.
"You were going to say something this morning," Amanda reminded him, "about our future?" William took her hand, stopping beneath the soft glow of a park lamp.
"I was going to ask if you would consider making our family complete, not just for Sophia's sake, but for ours." From his pocket, he withdrew a small velvet box containing not a traditional diamond ring, but a simple platinum band inset with a pattern that, upon closer inspection, represented a mathematical sequence. The Fibonacci spiral, Amanda identified immediately, her scientific mind recognizing the pattern.
"Endless growth and perfect balance," William confirmed. "Sophia helped design it." Amanda looked toward their daughter, now applauding enthusiastically for a violin player. "She knew about this." William smiled.
"She's been my most trusted consultant on the project."
Her exact words were, "Mommy likes math better than diamonds."
Amanda laughed, tears gathering in her eyes.
"She knows me well."
"As I hope to for the rest of our lives," William replied.
"This isn't the impulsive connection we shared years ago.
It's built on something stronger: partnership, respect, and a family we both treasure."
Amanda took the ring, examining its perfect mathematical precision.
"A year ago, I was fighting alone for my daughter's life, believing her father wanted nothing to do with us. And I was facing death in isolation," William added, "convinced I would leave no meaningful legacy." They both looked toward Sophia, the living embodiment of second chances and unexpected joy.
"Yes," Amanda said simply, sliding the ring onto her finger. "Our family should be complete."
As they joined their daughter among the park's evening bustle, William Carter reflected on the remarkable journey that had brought them here, the terminal diagnosis that wasn't, the child who wasn't meant to survive, the love he'd never expected to find. What had begun with a manila envelope and 3 months to live had transformed into something infinite: a family, a legacy of healing, and a future limited only by the boundless potential of their shared love.